Hey there, everyone. It's Chris McDonald here for your race day registration refresh. I still have a good number of people joining us, so I'm going to give it another minute or so to let people keep coming in. And in the meantime, if you've not been on one of these before, you should have a GoToWebinar control panel on your screen. If you have any questions, you can ask questions within that control panel. And if we start getting the same question over and over again, we'll float that out. We will be kind of focusing on different ways of doing race day registration. There might be other things that you're interested in learning about. And we do have Matt Avery on the back end that's going to be helping out with answering some questions. So we're going to try to stay on topic just because this does dive pretty deep into race day registration, but not into RunSignup registration. So just be aware that if you have RunSignup specific questions, we may suggest for you to either get on the info side of things, like the help desk at RunSignup, or we might suggest chatting with your account manager just so we can stay on track. So with that being said, obviously a lot of races are coming back right now, and a number still have social distancing guidelines in place. And with that, a lot of people are kind of shifting the way they've done things, as it's a great line in the sand to begin using either new technology or changing the way that you've done things previously. Whether that be dynamic bib assignment, or maybe you've been doing paper registration forms and your races have always wanted it that way. Well, you've kind of got a really good platform now to say, hey, look, we're still trying to social distance, so we're going to put some, we're going to implement some race day registration tools out there so that we limit touch points, because and obviously different states have different guidelines, but for the most part, we're all being fairly cautious about moving forward in mass participation in sports. So with that being said, we'll get going. So we're going to be doing an intro into what is race day registration, some different options out there. Then we're going to do a deeper dive into on-site registration, some best practices, and then ask any questions that you guys might have. So as most of you know, most of you have put on races for a while. There's still a number of you that are fairly new at this. And so if you are new at this, packet pickup and on-site registration is the first time that you get FaceTime with your athletes. And so it's really important to be organized, prepared for challenges, so that you can have a smooth race day experience. One of the things that we at RunSignup push nonstop, and I wish that I could turn around and say, 99.99% of all race directors and timers are doing this, but realistically, it's more like 25%, and that is testing out the technology in advance. So we have tons of support at RunSignup to help you out with your race day experience. But it becomes harder and harder when you're into crunch time on site. So by testing it out in advance, you know what to expect, or at least you've answered a lot of the questions on what to expect on site. Some of those might be, do you have an internet connection? Do you need a hardwired connection, or is your MiFi going to work? Are you going to be tethered to your phone? Do you have cell signal out there? We've had situations where, are your computers updated? Someone had very limited bandwidth on their MiFi. They hadn't opened their Chromebooks in 2 years. The moment they updated them, the Chromebooks chewed through every bit of data they had on their plan and crashed their MiFi. Do you have a power source? This might seem counterintuitive because there's batteries in a lot of laptops and Chromebooks, but if your Chromebooks have been on the shelf, or your laptops have been on the shelf for 2 years waiting for an in-person event, there's a really good choice, or a really good chance your battery is not where it used to be. So making sure you have power. And then also setting expectations in advance to limit confusion. So this goes two ways, one for your volunteers and one for your athletes. And what I mean by that is for your athletes, you can clearly state whether or not you're accepting on-site registrations and or how you're doing it. You can also set up at the RunSignup level, you would want to set up a time period where online registration is still open. So a lot of folks will go in and they'll say, look, we're on site. We don't want to accept online registrations at RunSignup, but we're going to use on-site registration. Well, if you're doing that, you still have to have registration open at RunSignup. And I'll show you where you can limit that to just on site and not anywhere online. Now, that being said, I wouldn't suggest doing that unless you have a very, very good reason to. And then also training your volunteers and staff on how to handle and answer questions or issues. So also, most events hold on-site registration during packet pickup only. However, the RunSignup on-site registration page can be used as a registration station anywhere at any time, as long as it's been turned on. So we've seen a lot of different races utilize the tool at running stores or sponsor locations, and this is just kind of a standing registration kiosk to get registrations during those captive times. And then multiple types of on-site registration can help keep lines to a minimum. And we'll go through the 3 different types that we kind of talk about here just in a second. One being on-site or online forms, paper forms, and then your normal registration through RunSignup, and then finally the on-site registration tool that RunSignup has. And then finally, by having regularly promoted price increase intervals, athletes are pushed to register in advance. Now, I will say that due to the pandemic, and this has been a trend for years prior to COVID-19, but it's been exacerbated by COVID-19. And so we're seeing people register later and later. That might be because they don't know if they're going to be healthy, or if they don't know if a race is actually going to be held, or they're just don't care to register in advance, even with those price increases in place. So doing anything you can to get people to register in advance will help you out, because you don't want 50% of your athletes showing up on site, because no matter how prepared you are, if you're having thousands and thousands of people show up on site to register, they're more than likely going to be lines unless you have hundreds of kiosk stations to manage it. And this also plays into multiple other parts. It's not just the lines at packet pickup, but pushing people to register in advance also helps you as a race director or you as a timer project how many athletes to expect for, whether it be ordering bibs and tags or t-shirts or hats or finisher medals. All of that goes into play. So if ever anybody asks, we actually had a question pop up at an event I was at over Thanksgiving. Why are there price increases? This seems unfair. And this is the response I gave them, and it all made sense, because they didn't want to pay $50 on site, but it was $20 3 or 4 months prior. So it's just getting those people, encouraging those people to register in advance is going to be a huge part of having a successful race day. So some different options: paper forms, QR codes, and RunSignup's on-site registration tool. So this goes without saying. I'm sure any of you that have been in the industry longer than, I don't know, a year or two have probably printed out or made some of these kind of forms. And there's positives and negatives to this. The positives are, if the internet goes out or the power goes out, you still have this available. The negatives are long, and they're, whether it be everyone writing like a physician writing a prescription, whether you get that first name of, Pat, or a name like mine, Crisp, where it could be male or female, and then they don't check the male-female box, they don't give you an age, so you are quite literally guessing as to who this person is. And for some of you race directors, you might say, oh, it doesn't matter as long as we're getting their money and they're signing the waiver. But if you're timing the event, this is a huge stressor on the timer, because in many cases, the timer's the one entering this data live. And so you might have a volunteer who's like walking or running these pages over to the timer at the timing tent, and they're having to transcribe all of this chicken scratch into the timing database. And it's just really hard to get it in. It's really hard to read people's writing. And it makes things more challenging. So another thing is taking cash or checks on site. I know most people don't look at it this way, but you are responsible for the tax implications of those payments. So just be wary of that. So another different option is a QR code. Now, we will show you a QR code, another QR code later, but this QR code, and I've just shown you an example of the QRCodeGenerator.com. It's quite literally a free service. You do not need to pay for these, and you quite literally drop your registration URL, and not the actual regular URL, but you go to this page on your computer and paste this in, and then you can convert it to dynamic or shorten URL, and it'll pop out a QR code. And so even right now, if you were to scan during this talk, if you're to scan this QR code, it's going to take you to this page, which is the normal RunSignup registration page. So the benefit here with this type of online registration is nearly everyone coming to packet pickup still has their phone with them. Now, granted, the closer and closer you get to race start, you have less people showing up with their phone because they might not want to run with it. But what I suggest doing is quite literally printing out, you can copy the QR code that's generated for your event, paste it into Word with on-site registration above it, print it out, and post it around your race site. Now, the benefit there is anyone that's walking up can use their device. They don't have to touch anything of yours. They can stand remote if they want to. They scan this and they can register. The benefit with using this side of things is all your finances are in one place. They can use their own device, and everything is going into the RunSignup database. So no one else is having to transcribe this data from a paper form into timing software or into RunSignup. And the final thing that I love about using QR codes is you're getting them to register in full. So you're not limiting, because they're not having to stand in line, so you're not worried about bandwidth in this scenario. So people are putting in their email address. And the benefit there is you are able to, unlike the paper form where they're probably not going to take the time to write out their email, or the timer might not be taking the time to type in the email into the system, you already have it. And so marketing to these people for next year becomes much, much easier. So again, this QR code would quite literally point directly to your normal registration. And anybody that's in the passenger seat driving to your event, they can still go to your registration page and register as well. All of that syncs in with the check-in app, and if your timer is using Race Director or RaceDay scoring, it live syncs with that as well. So it makes things very, very easy. And also your inventories, if you're using, you've set your shirt sizes, things like that, all of it's being pulled in and applied to this scenario. So now we're going to go into a deeper dives into the RunSignup's on-site registration. So where you find this is the third type. You find this on the back end of RunSignup. And so setting this up, you're going to go into RaceDay tools and on-site registration, just like that. And if people want, by the end of this, if we need to do some click-throughs, we can do that. But I've just got some screenshots. I'm going to explain to you what things do. So when you go in there to begin with, it's going to drop you into on-site registrations. The benefit here, other than just having your computer open to RunSignup, to your RunSignup page, is when they're on that RunSignup page, they're having to log in to register. And so the benefit with this, what we're doing, is they're not automatically logged in after registering. And then the next registering button shows up on the confirmation screen, which automatically logs the person out and prepares for the next person. So it's a huge benefit because if you just turn on your normal RunSignup registration page and put it out there, somebody's going to register and they're going to be logged in. And when the next person comes, there's a good chance that they're going to be registering as a sub account of that first one. So again, if you're going to be using kiosks, so in this scenario, you'll be using like a Chromebook or a laptop or something like that. This is where you would want them not logged into that device. So the moment you click this and hit Save Changes, it turns blue, and now you get to go through all the settings for on-site registration on the back end. So here we are on the full side of it. We've turned it on, and now all of this opens up. And again, there's a lot more down. We're going to click through this and see all of these settings. So first thing underneath is on-site registration link and password. So again, please read before just copying and pasting these things out. Send this link to any device you want to use for on-site registration. Now, do not print this code out for athlete use. This is not the code to print out on that PDF and post around your event. If you do, all it's going to do is drop them into, when they scan it, again, you can scan this code right now. It's going to drop you into the password protected login to get to on-site registration. So you can either share this code to other Chromebooks or mobile devices that you want to use as an organizer, or you can copy or share the link. And this, again, this is what you're going to do to get the on-site registration mode onto the other devices. So you have the ability to change your password to get into this and put in password hints. So just down from that, you have other optional settings. You can allow for cash payments. So by clicking this, you can allow for people to pay with cash or check or some other offline process. So this way, they're still entering in their personal information into the RunSignup system, but if you're giving this, you have a registrar or a volunteer who's like confirming that they've handed in money, they've handed that money, and that volunteer types in for this event, they would type in the word cash, because I make my password hints the same as my password for these, so that if I ever forget, I know what they are. Next, you have the ability to show bib assignment screen at the end of on-site registration. So for those of you that are maybe assigning bibs in advance, and then your late registrations, you're assigning them one-to-one. So when the person finishes, a pop-up comes up that you can assign the bib number live at that point and hand them the bib. Now, a lot of other folks are going to have an area off to the side where all these, Chromebooks or laptops are for registration. And then after the person registers, they get in line for packet pickup like everyone else. Personally, this is my suggestion, having everyone stand in line in the same lines for packet pickup. The benefit there is everyone has the same packet pickup experience. You don't have to divvy out bibs for over here or over there. You don't have to have extra piles of shirts over here or over there. Everything's within the giveaway inventory. So when they go into this on-site reg or online normally, everyone, if small shirts are sold out, they physically cannot click that they want a small. If all the shirts are gone, you can set up a no shirt option, and that's the one that they have to select. So you can also restrict the events. So in this scenario, I only want people to be able to register for the test 5K or test 10K with this on-site link. So I don't want any of the virtual events or anything like that to be available. And then also, the final thing is you can customize required fields. So I want to customize the information I collect. As soon as you click on this, it opens up the other options. So if you're having a timed event, gender, the date of birth, city, state, country, zip code, I usually leave in there. The reason being, the moment they fill out the zip code, it autofills everything else in those. Now, We do realize that a number of people want age as an option. That is on the GitHub request, so it is something that our developers are looking at. But right now, we still have date of birth. Same goes with email. Now, personally, for me, as both a race director and a timer, I want that information. So I realize it takes a little bit longer to enter in, but if you don't have the ability to market to that person the following year, you're really missing out. So in terms of all these other steps, you can turn these off or on as needed. So for instance, membership, tech partners, virtual race, phone number, in email settings, you might want all those off. Custom questions, if you're asking something like, are you a Clydesdale or are you Athena? You would want to leave that on because that might have something to do with how you're going to score the event. Same with corrals. Now, again, if you're talking about bandwidth or talking about getting people registered as quickly as possible, this might not be the time to set up, say, fundraisers, but you still want to allow people to donate. You might want to turn off the store, but still allow them to do giveaways. So again, it's just a matter of what you want to offer to these people. And the more people you're going to have coming to register on site, the less things you're going to want them to fill out because it's just going to take them longer. And then finally, one thing that I strongly advise is the additional option right here, allow participants to register without creating an account. So what this means is they register and they don't have to put in their email address twice. They don't have to create a password or anything like that. You're still getting their email, but they don't have to create a RunSignup account, which speeds things up. The final thing at the bottom here is on-site registration only. Now, here is the button that you would click. Again, you still have to have a registration period at the RunSignup level, but this is the button you would click if you want to disable online registrations other than at your on-site kiosks. So I caution people in using this. There are very few scenarios where you would want to do this because most of the time you're wanting to get as many people registered as possible with as little lines as possible. So the moment you turn this on, that QR code that we talked about previously from the free QR code generator, that QR code pointing to your normal registration page, it's not going to work. It's going to come up with online registration is closed, and you can put a personal note in there, but it's going to say you have to register on site or registration is only offered on site. And so if you turn this on, you can click this thing right here and it will give you your registration closed message. So again, you need to be really careful on turning this on because it is going to limit people from registering on their phone or at home on their computer. They're going to have to register at your kiosks. So again, I discourage this use, but there are some scenarios where people would want to use this. So some best practices here. Before we even get into the best practices, again, I'm just going to keep reminding you, you need to have a registration period open at the RunSignup level, and you need to turn this on in order to be able to use those kiosks for registration. So some best practices, turn on-site registration well in advance. So if your race is this Saturday, don't turn it on Thursday. Don't turn it on Friday when you get to packet pickup. Turn it on today, this afternoon, and register yourself and demo the process with the volunteers who are going to be managing the process, because this will help familiarize them with what it looks like for the athlete so they can answer questions as need be. Also, I strongly advise to go ahead and get these set up, do that copy link, and go ahead and put that link on all of the other devices that you're going to be using for on-site registration. Now, one thing to remember, if you're logged into RunSignup, as soon as you go into that that mode of on-site registration, it logs you out. So don't get frustrated. It's meant to do that. It logs you out as an administrator. It logs them out as an athlete. It's because it's made to not be logged into RunSignup. So someone else using the computer or Chromebook does not have access to the backend for your information. So set the home pages on those devices to the on-site registration page. The benefit there is when you open it up, you can go right to it. You can just hit, as soon as you open up Chrome or Safari or whatever you're using, it goes directly to on-site registration. You can do that in advance so you're not scrambling day of. Also, write down your on-site registration password and cache password. So these passwords, the on-site registration password is to get into on-site registration for these kiosks. So do not make it the same as your RunSignup password. Again, like if you guys want to go to this one, it's quite literally at the moment Reg1. So if you happen to have scanned that QR code on my page and it's still sitting on your device, the password is REG1. You're more than welcome to go in. There's no personal information in that test account. So it also, for the cache password, it's not something that should be easy. Like maybe you shouldn't use the word cache, but say it could be cache 5 or something like that, something somebody's not going to guess easily. And you're not giving that to the athlete. You're typing that in for them. So print out the QR codes for regular registration and place these around the packet pickup area. So again, this is to limit the people that need to use the kiosks. If you've got 50 people that show up to your race to register on site, I would put $5 down that said, if you printed out these QR codes, that 25 to 40 of those 50 people would use the QR codes over sitting down at the kiosk. They're just more comfortable on their own phones. So if you're going to have limited or no internet access on site, again, because you prepared in advance and you showed up and you realize, you know what, this is a trail run. We're 100 miles into the middle of nowhere with mountains on all sides. You're not going to have internet access. Guess what? You need to cut off online registration before you download the last time. So that's because if you leave it open, you're going to have people registering and showing up, and you no longer have cell phone service out there. You don't have a way to pull that data down. So there's no way for you to know if that person actually registered. And then in that scenario, you need to ensure you have printed out copies of an on-site registration form. And you need to talk with your timer, or if you are the timer, you need to talk with your race director and know if you're going to have internet access. You know, most of the time you can look on Google Maps and say, look, man, we are out in the boonies. We know we're not going to have cell signal. We need to plan accordingly to have a successful race day. So again, all of these can be done well in advance. They can be tested. The conversations between the race director and the timer need to be had not on Friday morning for a Friday afternoon packet pickup. Have those conversations a week prior so everyone can plan and be prepared. So some benefits of using online registration for race day. So we've kind of talked about some of these, but it's a quick customizable setup. There's only a few steps and we went through those. It easily scales across multiple devices. So you're setting those settings on your main computer. And then normally you would have cheaper computers like Chromebooks or something like that that you can scale across for online for on-site registration. And if you need more, you know, you can use iPads. Usually we don't suggest using iPads. People like keyboards. So, sorry, not iPads, tablets. People like using keyboards in order to enter their data in. It is simple to use. Once they type in that password, it quite literally once you type in the password to get into that mode on the device, it is just registration with trim down to whatever settings you put on the back end of RunSignup. All of your finances are in one place. And so after the fact, any reports that you're running, you know, if everybody's paying with cards online, all of your financial reports are accurate and in one place. You don't have to add in cash. You don't have to figure out if you owe taxes here and there. It all makes it super simple. And then also it fully integrates with RunSignup, obviously, but also the check-in app and RaceDay scoring. The syncs across the cloud, meaning if somebody goes over, and if you think about you're in a, you know, a square of the gym, and in one corner you have RaceDay registrations on those Chromebooks, they type in their information. About 60 seconds later, they're going to be in the check-in app. So they're going to have the exact same experience, and your staff are not going to have to do anything special in order to get them in and have, you know what their t-shirt size is, or if you're dynamically assigning bibs, they're there and ready to go in the app. And then if your timer's using RaceDay scoring, that auto populates into RaceDay scoring. So again, all of this syncs through the cloud, and it just makes for a very, very fluid RaceDay experience. So that is the bulk of everything. Are there any questions? And if need be, we can hop out of this and go into a demo if there's tons of questions. Matt, anything we need to go over?
Yeah, so I was just typing out response to one. Bob Obb was asking about how do you turn off asking for mailing addresses on RaceDay if that's set up as a custom question? Typically, he says that there's a virtual option with shirts and or other items being mailed to virtual participants. So the answer to this depends on what you're doing. If you're doing on-site registration, you would customize the required fields in the on-site registration, which Chris is showing here. It's a single checkbox for all custom questions, however, so keep that in mind. Now, if you are wanting to update the live registration link from the front end, so everybody registering on their phones would not see those custom questions, you would use what's called fast registration options. And you can say between this date and that date, do not show the custom question as a step. So it depends on what you're trying to do there, Bob.
Yeah, and so just to add on to that, just to make sure you guys heard what Matt just said, if you click this button, you're skipping all custom questions. You can't divvy out specific custom questions. If you need to remove specific custom questions, you use fast registration mode, and then you can select specific custom questions to not display during registration during specific time periods.
Yep. Another one, John was asking why it's not recommended to have the QR code for on-site registration distributed to participants. And I was explaining to him that you don't want to do that just because it's going to log out the users from their accounts on their phones. It's not meant to be used for that. What we usually recommend is to create or use the QR code for the standard registration to distribute to participants, so that they aren't getting, their passwords, not stored, or their logins, the session taken out. So that is just a user experience type of thing. You certainly could, but we really don't recommend it. It's not meant to be used for the public. It's meant to be used for a private kiosk type of situation.
And on top of that, they would need the password to get in.
True.
And so again, on the back end of RunSignup, this QR code is not what you want to send out. If you want to use a QR code, there's a lot of free options out there that are QR code generators. And this is the one you quite literally just type in or paste your registration from this page, and it auto points. And this is the QR code you would want to copy and paste out there.
Another question came in about the QR code for registration, and there is also a QR code that we generate for you on the dashboard, found under promotion links, and that has a registration QR code that we made for you already. So you don't have to do this, but I will say it's nice to customize it because you can build specific event registration URLs, QR codes then. So if you have a 5K, 10K, and you got 2 different lines, you may want to, make your own QR codes that are specific to the 10K or the 5K registration, which is a possibility. All right, so looks like some more questions are coming in. I haven't read these ones yet, so we'll take them live unless you wanted to jump into the demo, Chris. What do you think?
I mean, I can do both while we're at it.
Cool.
So
let's see. Leslie is asking, if they don't create an account, are they still able to access their race time, etc.?
And the answer to that is yes. They just won't have. So once they create an account, they can then, what's the verbiage used? It's
claim, right?
Claim. There you go. I was like, take ownership. They can claim that result later down the line and then link it to their account.
Yeah, and they'll be able to see everything in the results, Leslie. It's just if they go to their RunSignup profile and they're logged in, they won't see their result shown in like their recent results tab until they claim it. Okay, next one from Daniel. He's asking, will the on-site online registration work for GiveSignup ticket events? No, so this is just for RunSignup. There's no such functionality in GiveSignup ticket events this time. With the on-site registration, athlete, can they use a credit card on RunSignup? Yes, so this is exactly the same as the standard registration process. They would have to type in their credit card for on-site registration. One of the nice things about distributing the actual live registration link to users so they can register on their phones and so on is that most people have their credit cards semi-stored in their browser, so they can more easily enter it in without having to type it all out.
And then, and that goes with both, obviously, credit card on their personal device and on the kiosk. Let's see, I think we have another one that's we're gonna find race director on the program. Yep. So Matt's already got that one. You can customize the registration confirmation emails. So I think Leslie was asking about, can you customize the copy? Customize the copy and the registration confirmation emails are the reminder emails you send through the platform. Yeah, yes, you can customize the registration confirmation emails. So if you I use this search function a lot. And if you, you can set it by event. So you can go in and event specific confirmation emails. If you click in there, you can edit whatever you'd like in that. And Stephen, we know that the request for age versus date of birth, at this time, it's only date of birth. And yeah. So apparently my Chrome update is giving someone anxiety. I apologize. Let's see, how to assign bib numbers if both regular and race day registration are happening. We can give you, I don't know if Matt has a link at the ready, but there are lots of different ways to assign bib numbers. And so one way, if you don't want to dynamically assign, it's under bibs, assign bibs and chips. You can go in and assign bib numbers at time of registration, and that'll auto assign when they register. If you're dynamically assigning, it doesn't matter because everyone's getting that information at the same time. The credit cards be used on a reader attached to can credit cards be used on a reader attached to a kiosk device on site, Debbie? Yes, so they'll be typing in those credit cards. You cannot use the swipers. And then I think Leslie asked, can the platform send out reminder emails 1 day away? Yes. So again, under email marketing, you can do automated emails, and you can do, registration price increase or whatever you want to do, and you can set those to specific dates, not just when price is about to go up. So you can send out reminder emails about registration on specific dates.
One that I saw come up, Chris, but I think it'd be useful in this conversation is to just briefly go over the different options for fast registration if we have the time.
Sure.
Yep.
So all you have to do, again, you don't have to be a genius to remember where everything is. You quite literally can just use this little search function in the top left, and you see it opens up race registration, fast registration options. So again, if you're in race registration, and you would see fast registration options right there. So either way gets you there. And so
into this, can you explain why you may want to use these?
Yeah, so fast registration is great because it allows for you to do this like overall for all things. So say you want every single person that's registering on mobile to have a different experience because you don't want them to register, you don't want them to have to answer as many questions. Or at a certain date, you want to say, someone said, hey, I don't want to ask for, you know, a custom question after a certain point. Well, that's fine too. You can do this by, you can enable it by a date range, which is normally what people are using if they want to remove a specific custom question for packet pickup. And then you can also do fast registration by URL. And so by clicking enable, this link will just give you the outright fast registration. Now, keep in mind, in doing that, so if we do that, you do need to make sure that you're allowing participants to register without creating an account, and you're not sharing this out. So again, if we're hiding that and we're going into enable fast registration by date range. So we would say we want the start date of this to be whatever, today, and our race is this weekend. So we would want to end it that day. And so we want to have specific things taken out of this. Let's see. Yeah, I thought we could remove the, yeah, there it is. So if you undo this, you can take out specific custom questions. And so those will be skipped during this time period, again, through all medium of registration. And so once this is applied, we save those settings. Anybody registering will skip these steps. Let's see. John's asking why RunSignup does not allow credit card swipes to be used. So it has to do with the tax implications. So having a PCI compliant credit card swiper and where you physically are in terms of swiping, it matters greatly for all of this. So that's the reason right now. And if you need further information, I can get you in touch with finance and they can go on a super deep dive on why those swipes aren't used on our platform. All right, well, I think we've gotten to the end of the questions. And again, if you have specific questions, you can reach out to your account manager or info at. Also, if you go in underneath right here, you can go and click help. And it brings up, actually it's probably gonna bring up something different for me, but if you click that and you go in, it will have a dynamic FAQ where you can search for tons and tons of topics. So if you do have specific questions, that's usually where I start. There's also a blog, a YouTube channel, and then obviously we do lots of webinars. So with that being said, we appreciate everyone being on. And yeah, we will be, I think our next webinar might be in 2022. And also, if you don't yet know about it, we do have a winter symposium coming up in Orlando in the middle of January. And so if you want any more information about that, you can go to our RunSignup homepage. And it's a great place to get hands-on training, face-to-face with other timers. Race Directors is a great networking event. So we'd love to see you there. And yeah, we hope you have a happy holiday and best of luck with your events the remainder of this year going into 2022. So take care and have a great day.